3 final startup teams are ready to go. So presenters and jury, get ready. First up is Smart Soft. Smart Soft provides innovative software to let companies and individuals streamline the way they work with documents. They offer effective solutions for data capture, process automation, image recognition, document classification, conversion, and management. Joining us today is Nikolai Todorov. Good luck, Nikolai.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Nikolai Todorov, Marketing Manager at Smart Soft. Our company has experience in developing AI algorithms that are profitable and in machine learning. Today, I will present to you Columbo, our solution for automated lumbar spine reading and reporting for radiologists. More than 80% of us had or have back pain, and the costs are burden for healthcare systems. The back pain costs are 3 times the costs of all cancers. There is 30% disagreement between the radiologists for lumbar MRI exams, and there is a shortage of radiologists everywhere, and in reality they have only half of the time to do a proper examination. As you can see, the number of MRIs is increasing throughout the world, and there are still no working AI application that provide lumbar MRI reporting and diagnostics. Currently, the hospitals are paying between 40 and 50 euros per patient for lumbar MRI reporting. That makes the addressable market more than 1 billion euros. How about to change the current situation, and instead of showing the radiologists this, which is hard to be understood, to show them this? The key novelty in our solution lies in the full description of diagnosis and structured report level by level. The benefit will be 25% time savings and reduces of errors of up to 28%. And while the hospitals will save time and money, the patients will receive proper and in-time treatment. But we say this because the clinical trials finished 3 days ago and the results are very positive. We achieve improvement in every pathology with our product. In the most prestigious challenge for medical image computing, our solution was ranked #1, winning in every category. We were accepted not only by EIT Health, but we were also participant in NVIDIA GPU Technology Conference, which was held earlier this month. We received grants from EU's Horizon 2020 program and Innovation and Competitiveness program in Bulgaria. Our product is currently tested, and we have received letters of interest from hospitals and marketplaces from the Netherlands, France, United States, and other countries. The team working on Columbo is international, and we have leading world experts in programming, radiology, and project development, which are former employees of GE Healthcare, Philips Healthcare, and Johnson & Johnson. We have started negotiations and presentations with potential customers, the biggest medical imaging equipment producers, hospitals, and platform marketplaces. And for those of them that don't have enough patients, we will offer a fixed rate per exam. For the rest, there will be a limited annual license model. As I said, the clinical trials finished earlier this week, and the results are very positive, and that's why we expect the CE mark in the beginning of 2021 and FDA approval in July 2021. We're working on second version where 20 more pathologies will be added, and it will cover the whole spine. For the third version, we will add CT images and 3D surgical planning. We expect to be first on the market in 2021 and almost 22 million euros revenues by 2026. We were able to self-fund the project up till now, but we still need, in addition, 1.6 million euros for the complete development of our product. As the market is more than 1 billion, the potential return on investment is huge. Columbo will meet an unmet market need for AI solution for automated analysis of spinal images. 8 out of 10 people listening now will experience back pain. And when this happens, we want to be sure that you will receive in-time treatment and hospitals will save money at the same time. Thank you.
Well done, Nikolai, on your pitch. Let's move over to the jury and see what questions they have. Who would like to start? I see Roma, even though the iris is in the picture, but Roma, go ahead.
Yeah, I would like to ask a question about technology and compatibility, of software with different types of hardware. So, for example, is there any technological risk related to that? How scalable is that?
Yes, with me here today is our CEO, Ned, and I will give him the word.
With my video.
Yeah, Nedalcio, there you go. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm the CEO of Soft. Our software is.
I am afraid we can't really hear you because your microphone is switching on and off.
Okay, I can answer this.
Let's do that.
Our software is based on convolutional neural.
Maybe our technician can mute Nedelko, because then we can switch back to Nikolai.
Okay, our software is based on convolutional neural networks combined with medical domain knowledge and unit architecture. And as I said, we won the most prestigious medical imaging competition, winning in every category. Is that answering your question? And we also have the biggest data sets of 20,000 MRI studies for the lumbar spine.
Okay, thank you.
And then we move on to Antonio. I think your microphone might be off.
You're right. You're right. Apologies. I'm very impressed with the dice. Congratulations, it's terrific.
Thank you.
My issue is about compatibility with different scanners. Did you prove that you are agnostic to the scanners, that shall we say the variability that you have in the solutions is not strongly impacted by the source of the images?
Yes, our solution works with MRI images, magnetic resonance.
Can you hear me now?
Not for CT. We can work with almost 95% of the images of the supported images, and that is proven in the clinical trials. So pretty much we can cover all of the images of the lower spine.
So you position yourselves like an agnostic solution that is truly independent from the origin of the image, and you are an expert solution in lumbar spine injuries.
Yes, currently in the lumbar spine with the first version, but for the second version we will add the mid spine and the upper spine. So our aim is to cover the whole spine. Yes.
Very clear.
Is there anything else that Nikolai can elaborate on for the jury today?
This is Bob. Just a question about the go-to-market strategy and how you're proposing to. I understand the business model, but how you're proposing to whether you're doing that through the equipment manufacturers or how you're going to market.
Okay, so we are currently in negotiations with 3 out of the 4 biggest MRI producers, and there is a clear interest. They were waiting for the final results of the clinical trials, which are finished this Tuesday actually, but the final report is not yet issued. We are speaking also with the platform marketplaces in the Europe and United States, like Terroricon and Arteris, and we are actually almost completely finished the negotiations for technical implementation and the trade side of the negotiations. Our solution is currently tested in some of the leading hospitals, university hospitals in the Netherlands, Germany, France, and 4 or 5 centers in the United States, and the results are very positive, and the feedback is really positive from everybody.
And
Thank
there's
you.
one more question by Antonio.
Quick one. Are you going to enter the United States FDA with de novo or a 510K strategy?
Yeah, we're going for 510. We have prepared the full documentation for a pre-submission meeting with an FDA, and it is scheduled for January next year.
And there is a predictive device in this space?
Yes, there is some. It's the Siemens ARAT companion, but it works with CT images. It can do segmentation, it can do labeling, it can do just one pathology, that breakage of the vertebra. We have more pathologies. So we do have predicates for AI solutions that can find pathologies and do segmentation, labeling. Okay.
Okay, and with that, we will conclude our Q&A with the jury. Well done, Nikolai, and thank you for your pitch. The jury will now score this pitch by Smart Soft, and as they told, lumbar MRI reporting is difficult, especially since there's a shortage in radiologists. And Smart Soft offers a solution by taking over part of that analysis of MRI scans, reducing the time and saving cost. And I think we already have our next speaker there in the image. We're going to Spain for this one. SpotLab brings a powerful digital ecosystem for remote and automated analysis of medical images. The team has combined low-cost hardware devices with smartphones and advanced intelligence software based on artificial intelligence. And we already saw him briefly. Please welcome Jose Nistal. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. At SpotLab, we dream with making access to medical diagnosis a commodity for everyone. However, this is the reality. Many mass diseases are diagnosed with an optical microscope, a device that has hardly changed in the past 200 years. Bulky, non-portable, expensive, non-user-friendly, and definitely not connected within a network. But in this slide, we're missing the most important part, the specialist. Too many diagnoses to be made and not enough experts to analyze them all. Truth is, innovation is giving us the tools to change this reality. In order to tackle this issue, we have created a digital platform for optical microscopy diagnosis. We are the first company to leverage the optics, the computational power, and the connectivity of regular smartphones to transform traditional optical microscopes and our own into a digital analysis device, which together with our telemedicine platform and our proprietary AI algorithms will assist and support the specialist decisions, helping them actually to reduce time by shortening the time to perform an analysis, a diagnosis, reduce distance by allowing to perform remote diagnosis, and reduce definitely cost by lowering the cost of each diagnosis, making it affordable for any healthcare institution. But let me showcase you how our solution works with a recent live example. This is a pic of an hematology lab within a reference hospital in Spain. Empty during the pandemic, as cytologists were infected with COVID and could not analyze bone marrow samples in order to diagnose leukemias. They had two options. One, not to diagnose, and two, misdiagnose, as not enough experts were available to analyze the samples. Let me show you the current workflow with which only 5 bone marrow's liquid tissues can be examined per day. Cytologists have to evaluate at least 500 cells within each sample, which they manually count while observing through the microscope, the different fields. Then they note it down in a notebook, and lately they introduce all the data in the hospital system. It is a time-consuming, manual, and complex process requiring the expertise from an experienced cytologist. When a solution was deployed, cytologists were able to do remote diagnosis from home, get second opinions from other specialists, making results more reliable, and our AI tools assisted them to make easier and faster each diagnosis, meaning significantly more diagnoses could be performed per day without their physical presence. The quality and benefit of our unique solution is proved by the reputation of our partners and the level of engagement from the reference institutions. But what's the size of the market? We can argue that we sit in the intersection of various multi-billion-dollar global markets that are growing exponentially, as you can see here. Yet our focus is on healthcare institutions in their hematology, pathology, and infectious diseases and microbiology departments. Obviously, we have competition, both in hardware and software, yet none of them have integrated solutions, which is crucial in order to get the AI algorithms approved by the regulator, both in the EU and by the FDA in the US. And on top of that, our product is 90% cheaper, more flexible, portable, and does not get obsolete. Our business model relies on a hybrid model of traditional medical device sales, which anchors the client, and SaaS sales that generate recurrent sticky revenues. As we add features to the platform, our margins will improve, as you can see in this slide. But where are we now? Well, after 2 years of product development, we're in the market intro phase, where we're piloting our solutions and where we aim to achieve the industrialization of our technology, clinical readiness, and the go-to-market strategy. For this, we have secured public funding from a H2020 Phase 2 EU grant, and we're currently looking to raise between 1 and 1.3 million from an anchor investor. But none of this would be possible without a super team, where we have been able to actually gather complementarity and gender parity. All this together will help specialists do at least 1 million diagnoses that could not have been done otherwise, making certain we contribute to achieving universal diagnosis by 2030. Thank you very much, and I'm open to any other questions.
Oh, and I see that now I was still muted. I was saying, good job, Jose. And let's move on to our jury to see who would like some more answers.
I think we have 2 other team members joining for the Q&A, if I may.
Jose, this is Antonio. This is not my space. This is cytology, which is not my space. But obviously, I will ask a very simple, shall we say, idiot-proof question, which is productivity. You really omit productivity. Basically, what you're saying is that you can handle more, shall we say, images and more exams with the same people, or actually reduce the augment the productivity of one single expert. How much? What's the multiplication factor of productivity that you envisage?
That's what we're actually analyzing, and what we're looking to with our piloting. We're looking to quantify, but it's going to be exponential, as you can see. Let's think about the example I gave on the presentation. In a cytology department, in the pathology department, they could only analyze 5 bone marrow tissues analysis per day. That gives you an idea. With our AI tools, that brings it down to less than 5 minutes per analysis. The thing is, you have to analyze. You put the sample, you analyze, or you digitalize the sample, and then our AI algorithms that's overlaying over it will tell the specialists where it's, where's the virus, if there is, or if there's an issue. So it's super fast. But right now currently we're in the moment where we're actually quantifying those numbers.
Jose, quick follow-on question. Could you envisage a telecytology development like we've seen in radiology, with BPO operations, business process outsourcing operations, concentrating a lot of analysis of radiology images that we now see as normal, for example, in the United States?
Yeah.
We don't see that as yet in cytology. Could you see that as a development?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, but not only in hematology, which is within that field, but also in pathology, in microbiology. And I guess just to strengthen the point, we don't only make it more efficient, but we also make it cheaper, so it's more affordable for everyone, and it can be done remotely, which is even better because we're right now we're focusing in Europe specifically. Later we'll move into Latin America, but it applies. It's a global and super scalable business. at the end of the day, because you can do it anywhere. The lack of pathologists or specialists will be bridged by that efficiency and the fact that we can do it remotely, because everything is interconnected, and we rely on the connectivity of our devices.
And then let's move to Oliver, who also has a question.
Thank you. Could you comment a little bit on the AI part of the story in terms of how does it work? What kind of data is needed to train the algorithm, and probably also about whether there's a kind of an explainability built in?
Yeah, I'm not sure if Miguel,
yes.
are you there?
Can you hear me?
Miguel, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, perfect. So I can take this one. So the idea is that we have built this an AI factory. That means that once the data is digitized and then the specialists can use the platform at the same time, they are tagging the different images, and those images enter into our AI factory. That in that AI factory, what we are using is deep learning models, neural network models that we train and evaluate. Using like the most advanced techniques. And then once the model is frozen and has like enough sensitivity and specificity, we put it back in the platform. The key question, and this is the question that I think many of us face, is the key question is how to embed the model or the AI help into the clinical workflow. Okay, and what we are starting right now is by using the models to prioritize either the samples or the different parts of the sample that the specialist need to check. Okay, and I guess that this links with the explainability part because actually we are highlighting what is seen, and this is using for screening, and essentially we are now in that iteration of technology where this is support for the specialist to check by prioritizing. Okay, one thing that we are doing on the AI side, which is a little bit different to others. First is that we are really like trying to understand. This explainability, but also things like carbon footprint of our models. But also more interestingly, we are setting up a system of, it's like royalties, if you want, by which those hospitals that help us
we do have to wrap up.
Create the AI models.
We made it to 5 minutes. Thank you so much, gentlemen, Jose and Miguel from SpotLab. And they are employing the device we all carry in our pockets, the smartphone. We do not have enough expert in optical microscopy. While we do need them, and this is where the smartphone comes in to help us diagnose samples even from home. Time, cost, and the distance is reduced. Now, the jury will score this pitch, and meanwhile, we will move on to our next one. The health of our muscles and bones is one of the most important aspects to our quality of life. Vitrue takes leading clinical biomechanics and motion capture technologies and puts them to use for everyday care. Whether you're in elite sports, acute care, or preventative health, the screening solutions of this team may be able to help you. And for this pitch, I have to add there are some graphic images that some may find distressing. Please welcome from the UK, Shane Lowe. Good luck.
Thank you very much, Anne-Marie. Last one of the day. If I was to ask everybody in the call to stand up from their chair, about 1/4 of you would put more weight through one side of your body than the other. Do you think you would be one of them? Do you think you or somebody watching you could even tell if you were? That's just one of the indicators that you're one of the 33% of the population living with the specific health condition that I'm talking about today. Later in life, 87% of you will have your quality of life substantially reduced by this same condition. And by the time you're just 50 years old, 10% of you will have had major traumatic surgery to try to alleviate its effects. It's called a musculoskeletal condition. That's any issue of the bones or muscles that affects the way that you move. Now, despite all that, there's no service you can go to quantify your risk of developing a musculoskeletal condition, no service to lower that risk. Physiotherapists and orthopedic surgeons are amazing professionals, but we don't give them the tools to help you until you're basically falling apart. Surgeons get x-rays, doctors get blood tests, but in 2020, physiotherapists still get nothing to enable preventative care. They mostly rely on their sight while watching you move, which we know, regardless of how well trained they are, leads to subjective and inaccurate information. At Vitrue Health, we're solving that problem. We've developed a device that can accurately and quantitatively measure patient motor function. With our technology, you go to see your physiotherapist as you would today. The device sits in the background and uses biomechanics algorithms to detect the most minute of changes in your performance of standard physiotherapy tests. Crucially, it avoids interrupting the patient-clinician interaction using scene interpretation technology. The device understands what test is being run without the clinician having to tell it. Now, we're providing this information to both you and your clinician. We can empower them to intervene earlier before oncoming issues become debilitating. This technology improves patient satisfaction and outcomes. It improves patient throughput, and it introduces a new preventative care revenue stream for healthcare providers. This year in the UK, in the private health sector alone, patients will have their motor function assessed just by sight around 3.5 million times. If you bring Europe and the US into that, it's around 150 million assessments every year done purely manually. That's an untapped market. We charge per assessment, like an API call model, making a £3 billion opportunity for Vitrue. And that's before we talk about adjacent markets like sports clubs, gyms, care homes, or private health insurance. And even that is still just the beginning. If you take a test like a blood test, it's moved from confirming a diagnosis into detecting issues before symptoms even emerge. The data set that we're collecting at Vitrue, which has never existed before, will provide the foundation for that same shift across the entire musculoskeletal healthcare industry. We launched our first product at the beginning of the year. We're already in use in several physiotherapy clinics here in the UK, working with some of the leading orthopedic surgeons here and a couple of professional football clubs. We also had a large-scale rollout to Bluecrest Health Screening, who perform 100,000 preventative health screens every year across their 65 clinics in the UK, and we're in every one of them. I personally have been working on this problem for over 10 years now. I started in academia with a PhD, and I found in that setting I could solve this problem academically, but that's very different to what is necessary and viable in everyday healthcare. Frustrated with academia, I started working for the world's leading motion capture company, trying to solve it in industry. And again, found that we were making more and more accurate technology, but no more realistic for daily pathways. Finally, after meeting my co-founder, Alex, who's an expert in biomechanics, we decided to put together a team and solve the problem ourselves. As a team, we've developed world-leading musculoskeletal services, designed MRI scanners, blood diagnostics devices, 3D game engines, and even the physics behind bridges. This really is a perfect team to solve this problem. And we have been solving this problem. And then COVID happened, and people stopped seeing clinicians in person. So we took some of our products from our future roadmap to bring our technology into the home using a standard webcam. We're starting by assessing desk-based posture to reduce desk-based musculoskeletal injury. It's a hugely exciting field, and I'd love to take any questions. Thank you very much.
Well done, Shane. Well within time as well. Let's move to our jury and see who has questions for you. Who wants to start?
Hello.
There you go.
Can you clarify the competitive advantage? I think I have, I know several other similar systems using motion capture, even for a sport, swimming. So what are you really adding to what it's out there?
Sure, that's a really good question. So the ability to track human movement has been around for 20 or 25 years now. That's not new. What's always been lacking is the layer that sits on top of that makes it usable in actual healthcare. So for example, pretty much every competitor out there, the model that works is that the physio or surgeon or user sits behind a laptop. They'll ask you to perform a movement, they'll click start, they'll click stop, and they'll get a graph. It completely changes the interaction between you and your clinician, which we know results in bad outcomes and the patients won't stand for it. So the first thing that we added, we call scene interpretation, which means you click start, you forget the technology is there, go and assess your patient whatever way you like. The system, that the algorithms in the background are detecting and classifying what you did is the first step. And the second step is taking clinically meaningful information from that. So there's no point in giving either a patient or a surgeon 25 graphs. It's about taking what they actually care about from that information and kind of boiling it down into a simple report they can glance at and get really quantitative information. So it's what sits on top of the tracking is what's
So
really
it's the usability and the way the information is also presented to the user.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
On to Sophie then.
Yes, congratulations. I like the last part you explained, going to the work floor. Definitely now we have more and more people working from home. So I guess, yeah, I see a lot of opportunities there, but I wondered, could you, you just explained the USP of the product here, considered to others, is that the technology is not dominantly present, but now in times of telemedicine, can you use it? If I cannot be present with my physical therapist, can I use it too? And how does it work then?
Sure. So short answer is yes. So in our clinical product, we rely on a third-party camera. So you've got a depth sensor, which is a piece of hardware, which allows us to be very accurate. You can do the same tracking using 2D cameras, so smartphone cameras or webcams, but it doesn't have the same level of accuracy. Mm-hmm. So we've implemented the same product in 2D, and we're using it as a kind of guide for clinicians to get a rough guesstimate of what the patient is doing and to guide them to do their rehab. Currently, you can't get clinical grade information through that. So it's just not given. Let's say if you do a squat with our core diagram or our core technology, I'd say it's about 2.5% accuracy. When you're doing it through a webcam, it's more like 10%. So it just loses that level of sensitivity, which is why we're choosing specific areas to do it. So when you're doing desk assessment and we're looking at posture, that's quite simple. We can do really accurate stuff there. If you're doing basic triage, say you've got a knee problem, we can do a squat and we can do some interesting stuff there. So the kind of winding answer is yes, we can do it remotely, but there'll always be a higher accuracy in the clinic and then kind of the home guidance version outside of the clinic.
Yeah. Do you aim to go a step further? And so now you only do diagnosis, but do you aim to go a step further and link to therapy?
Yes, that's a big question for us. So there's a lot of people doing therapy. That's kind of something that's being done. Our whole theory was we wanted to really get diagnostics right, so that from the very first day you come into contact with the system, this is what's being used. Once you have that, therapy is quite a bit easier. So there's kind of a spreading to the rest of the pathway is much simpler because we are the foundation for that diagnostic. So that's always been the strategy over the next kind of 2 years, and then we'll jump into therapy.
Okay, can I ask one more question, or is someone else waiting?
Let's move to Roma, and if there's time after that, we move back to you. So Roma, go ahead.
Well, so my question was, I know there was a lot of questions about technology, but in terms of the business plan and let's see from your commercial side, you know, exactly, I don't know if I missed it in the presentation, but could you elaborate a little bit more on that? So is it like your business model or potential, you know, opportunities to reach the clients?
Sure, I'll keep it as short as I can. So we've got 3 verticals. The first is acute care, which is private orthopedic surgery and physiotherapy clinics right now. The second is elite sports, which is professional sports clubs. And the third one, where our first revenue comes from, is corporate health screening. So people who have nothing wrong, but want to screen for risk factors for things like back pain. So we charge a subscription every month and then a per use charge for the providers.
And that is exactly 5 minutes. Well done there. Thank you so much. From the UK, that was Shane from Vitrue. And Vitrue focuses on a condition that will affect the most of us, musculoskeletal conditions. Prevention is still mostly based on observation by physiotherapists. Vitrue has now developed a device that can do this much more accurately and of course then improving treatment as well. And with that, that was our last pitch of the day.